All right, perfect. Fresno Sports Talk here. Brian Rivera joined by the 13th manager in Grizzlies history, Coach Steve Soliz. Hey, thank you for joining us.
Yeah, we're glad to be here. 13th manager, right? That's my number. 13th. So
hey, it works out.
It seems to be perfect.
Yeah. Okay, so talk about how'd you get the love for baseball? How'd you get started?
Well, I'll tell you how did I get the love. This goes back to when I was 8 years old, but I won't bore you with that. My dad was my coach. You know, in Little League, as most dads are, he's coaching for Little League. And I always asked him, like, how did I end up as a catcher, you know, because he gave the welcome to the team speech at, 8 years old, and everybody run to the position you want to play. And I took off for shortstop, and he grabbed me by the shirt right away and said, you're going to catch.
Yeah, I know how you feel. I was the same way.
Exactly.
That was my uncle. So.
Yeah, years later, I asked him, why catch? And he goes, because that's the only position I knew I could teach you. So that, lo and behold, was probably the best decision he ever made.
Yeah.
Here I am.
Yeah, sure. And then you were drafted in '93 by Cleveland, and what was that feeling like?
I'll tell you what, it's obviously a dream come true. I was never one of those kids that set out to play professional baseball. And obviously, like I tell these guys nowadays, pro ball back then, it was a lot different. These kids are very lucky to be privy to see it often. When we were younger, or I was younger, the baseball was like, professionals playing on the moon. You didn't get to see all the games like they do now on MLB Network and ESPN.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I was never had aspirations of playing pro ball. I just wanted to play baseball because I loved it, see how far it could take me, and I got lucky enough to get a scholarship to go to Cal State LA, and then out of there I kept improving and got drafted by the Indians. And it was obviously a dream come true, I could say.
And I know it was later, but did you have any idea that Cleveland was going to draft you? Did you talk to anybody?
Honestly, I did. It was back then, it was the scouts talk to you here and there, and most of the conversations I had were with teams like Houston. Houston was big. I knew the scout very well. He's the one that actually got me to go to Cal State LA on a scholarship. So Houston was always the thought. There were a couple other teams that kind of went out. Cleveland was kind of like, I'd spoken to the scout, but it wasn't like with regularity. So when they got the call, I was like, pleasantly surprised.
Sure, sitting at home with mom and dad.
Yep, I was sitting at home.
Just kind of like you see on TV.
Just kind of like, it was not quite like you see on TV. It was the 13th round, so it wasn't day one of a draft. And again, it wasn't one of those things where I expected it. It was a funny story. I thought I was going to get drafted my junior year. Everyone thought you're going to get drafted your junior year. So there was a little more expectations there. And then after it didn't happen my junior year, obviously I didn't have a good year, but after it didn't happen, played baseball my senior year saying, hey, if this is going to be your last year, just have fun with it. So I went out and had fun. And then when draft day came, I think if I remember, I was with my mom and dad, and I was just like, you know what, we're not even going to think about this much. And then, got the call. Sure.
And then while you were with your Cleveland organization, you played with some memorable names as far as, if you follow baseball. You had Dwight Gooden, Bartolo Colon, Marco Scudero, some of those guys.
Scudero, Richie Sexton had a long career with Seattle and then Milwaukee.
Sure.
Steve Klein was a pitcher I played with, had some time with the St. Louis Cardinals. But Bartolo Colon's probably the name I throw out the most because him and I got drafted, or he signed, I was drafted. And so we kind of came up through the ranks together. And then, when he got too good, we went to the big leagues, and I stayed in AAA.
You're like, hey, thanks for nothing.
Thanks for nothing. Yeah, no, he was a really good guy, a good friend, because I, linked up with him again when I was coaching with the Angels, and he came and signed with us. So always rooted for Bart.
Sure. And then talk about, I know it's Dwight Gooden, it was towards the end of his career, and he went through some personal trouble, but I'm sure you probably still saw some of the prime Dwight Gooden.
Oh, no, yeah. When I got the chance to catch him, that was a dream, a treat. I saw Dr. K, And we used to talk, and he was a really nice guy. I know you mentioned that, had some troubles, but you wouldn't know it, the type of superstar he was, because he was one of the guys when we were together in Buffalo at AAA.
Yeah.
He, and just some of the cool stories we talked, again, it was on the backside of his career. He still had good stuff. I think he threw a no-hitter after that with the Yankees. But with us, with Buffalo, I'd ask him questions about the heyday, and he's like, I said, did you go for punch-outs? And he's like, oh, yeah. He's like, I got 2 strikes. And it was like, I'm throwing the hook, and then I look up there and see the people in New York putting the K up there. So it was kind of exciting. And it was definitely exciting for me to be able to catch a guy like that.
Sure, and then you finished your career with San Diego for a couple of years, and just kind of...
Yeah, no, I was on the backside, I just wasn't ready to hang it up yet, and I tell kids all the time when they come to that fork of the road of should I start coaching, should I do this, it's one of those things where whatever your decision is, you have to be convicted and know you can look in the mirror 10 years from now and say, hey, it was the right decision for me. I would tell kids, don't take this uniform off until they take it off you, because you only get one chance at this.
Right, no, absolutely.
So at that point, when I was with San Diego, it was just, I signed as a minor league free agent. I had an opportunity to play there for a year. Tommy John the second year, and then lo and behold, job with the Angels came. So that was
so fortunate. Just kind of as you finished your career, you kind of knew you wanted to get into coaching.
Oh yeah, I always had aspirations to be a coach. Even before pro ball, I went to school to be a teacher.
Okay.
I wanted to be a teacher and a baseball coach, whether it would be high school or college. So I always knew that coaching was in my future. I didn't know what level.
Sure.
Just had a passion I have a passion for the game, constantly learning the game, but I have a passion for teaching the game. And like I tell people, I don't care if I'm teaching 9-year-olds or 9-year big leaguers, you're going to get the same passion, the same joy and energy out of it. Because this is a game. I was just talking to Jesus Bugrain today about, I love this game, and this game's been very good to me, to steal a famous line. But it's been very good to me, and I just have a passion and love for it.
Yeah, I'm doing the same thing. I only played through high school, but no big deal. I'm coaching my 7-year-old niece now, and it's just so much fun.
Exactly. It's always nice to see people improve. They put the work in and they improve. We just had a kid last night in Luis Mendez have an outstanding game at second base, and he's been working on his defense from spring training to now. And I applauded his effort last night. I mean, he had 1 hit in the game, but he made 3 plays on defense. And so when you're talking about coaching, whether it's your niece, your nephew, or a kid like Luis, when you see him put the work and then see the fruits of his labors out there on the field last night, that's what coaching is all about.
Sure, no, absolutely. And then, of course, while you're with the Angels, you got what I consider one of my dream jobs. It's the bullpen coach, right? Exactly. The bullpen coach, the bullpen catcher. You just sit in the bullpen every night and you get to warm everybody up.
Everybody asks me, what is it? What'd you have to do to be the bullpen coach? I said, well, if you can answer a phone and catch a baseball, you can be a bullpen coach.
And then this is your 4th season with the Rockies organization. You coached or managed 1 year in Boise, short season. And this is your 2nd year with the Grizzlies. And this is just something about this Rockies organization that just fits well.
Yeah, no, obviously after 16 years in one spot with the Angels, it was definitely a new adventure, to enter a new organization, especially the later part of my career. They've done a very good job, and credit everybody from top to bottom, from Chris Forbes, Jesse Stender, Tim Bates, on through all the coaching staff, have made me feel very welcome here. So in only my 5th year, I still feel like I've been here for 10, 12 years.
Sure.
Great organization. Mr. Monfort treats his employees very well. And it's just a comfortable environment. Everybody here has a passion for the game, and it's just been an easy transition because of that.
Mm-hmm. And I know last year, like we said, you were the manager this year. Last year, you were the bench coach or base coach. Kind of explain the difference, maybe as a bench coach to being a manager now. How involved are you with the players as a bench coach or a base coach compared to a manager?
Yeah, as a bench coach, your job is to be there for the manager. So I always tell, like Cesar Galva's my bench coach now, I tell him, you need to approach every day as if you are the manager. And then if I have a question, have an opinion. It doesn't have to be my opinion, but have an opinion. So last year as a bench coach, I was as involved in the daily routine as Robbie wanted me to be. Mm-hmm. Always shared my opinions with him. I'm not short on sharing opinions as far as baseballs go. But you prepare like you're the manager. So the biggest difference I'd say is now, instead of being the co-pilot and second guessing, you're now first guessing. So that's always exciting. It's just, you're in the dugout as far as relating to players. I'd like to think I'm pretty similar in either job, whether it be bench coach or manager. I do know this, that although you pull your ideas and resources from your whole staff, it's ultimately up to you as to who's going to play and what we're going to do. So there are some decisions that are a little more difficult as a manager because you're trying to make everybody happy in there, but you're not.
Yeah.
And you just have to be as honest and forthright with everybody and tell them, like, hey, you're more than welcome to come in the office and have a talk. And I'm going to be as honest with you as I can. But the biggest thing is you got to show up consistent daily, whether you're winning or losing, and show them that you're here for them.
Sure. And then some of your day-to-day operations with the Rockies, I'm sure you probably talk to them a couple times a day. I don't know if they help you set the lineup, who plays where, that type of thing.
We've had dialogue through spring training, and then the organization will earmark a few players of I hate to throw the word out, but the prospect status, and they're going to get the lion's share of the playing time at certain positions. That being said, the lineup is in my hands. as long as I maintain with the prospect status, those guys are going to get, like I said, the lion's share of the time out there. But the rest of the guys, we can mix and match how we want and have the freedom to do so.
Sure. And then, being your first year manager, you had a couple years in taking over for Robinson Cancel. What's that? You feel like you got to fill in his shoes, or you just kind of, being back-to-back colleague, in the championship series?
Yeah, you always want to win. Each team is I always say, each team is a new puzzle. You got to figure out how to put the pieces of the puzzle together. And I believe that each team, even if you have the same 25 guys, each year is a new puzzle. So as far as following in Robbie's footsteps, obviously we want to win. I've been around some great baseball minds, and I like to pick each one's brain. But
Sure.
Ultimately, you got to try. We just talked about this. Ultimately, you got to be who you are. So I'm trying to be the best version of Steve Soliz I can, picking up ideas from every coach or manager I've been around, whether it be a manager or a coach, and apply it as I see fit.
Sure. And then talk about, I think one of the best joys of probably being a manager is telling a player they're getting called to the next level.
Oh, absolutely.
Right? And I'm sure it probably depends on the player, but are you pranking them? Are you being straightforward with them? What's your style?
I think it's just, I'm pretty straightforward. I like to think that I'm the prankster. And maybe if one comes along, I'll do it. But as of right now, when guys come in the office and I'm going to move them up a level, it's more and more a congratulatory thing for me.
Sure.
That being said, I do like a good joke. So if you guys have any ideas for how to prank someone, I'm open.
There you go. And then just last thing for us, I know you may not, I know the players get 1 day a week on a Monday, they get that day off. Do you get that same joy? And if you do, what are some of your hobbies you like to do?
My days off here are spent on the golf course.
Awesome.
So it's either golf, my second, I don't want to call my second love. They're like 1 and 1A. Outside of baseball. Baseball's my first love.
No,
baseball family.
yeah.
But outside of baseball, 1 and 1A, I love the golf course, and I love a good horse track. So
Okay.
if I can find one around here where I can do a little OTB, I'll do that. Otherwise, I'll be on the golf course.
Sure. And how's the golf game?
Right now, not so good, but I'm generally 80 to 85 score,
Okay,
so
okay.
somewhere around a 12 handicap.
Yeah.
Somehow, the last 3 rounds, my iron game has left me, so I'm more in the upper 80s, low 90s right now. But we were just talking today, and I got to see if I can correct this on this Monday coming up.
There you go. Well, folks, this has been a great pleasure talking with the Grizzlies manager again, the 13th in team history, Steve Soliz. Coach, thank you so much.
I appreciate it. Thank you for having me.
Thank you.